Hey everyone, welcome back to Pretending with Dice. As always, I'm your host and game master, AJ. This is possibly going to be the quickest intro I've ever done for one of these episodes, because for a change, I pretty much actually have nothing to announce at all. To make this worthwhile though, I do want to just once again point folks towards our new landing page at pretendingwithdice.com. It's the one place to go online for anything to do with the podcast. So yeah, check it out, share it, That's that. Okay, so we're straight into today's episode then. Part 2 of Fire of the Gods. Enjoy.
Previously on Frontier.
Captain's log, stardate 55075.1. Our progress towards Deep Space 3 has resumed following our unscheduled stop in the Zukir system.
I am holding a medical mixer at 1900 hours, and as Chief Medical Officer, I would be honored if you would attend.
That sounds like a wonderful idea.
Good.
Commander, sensors are picking up an unknown warp signature in a neighbouring star system. There shouldn't be any warp technology in that sector. There's one pre-warp civilization. But something about that doesn't add up.
Tallinn to Captain Collins.
Go ahead, Commander.
Captain, sensors have detected a vessel in a neighbouring system. I suspect that this may be a first warp flight scenario. I request your presence on the bridge.
Might I suggest we drop out of warp at a distance, Captain, and then approach on impulse? Then they might not get so spooked from us.
Everyone get to your stations and, let's do this right. We only get one chance to make first contact. Okay, so the briefing about the Draterans over. The captain and the commander lead the way back to the bridge, taking their seats.
Murphy would like to go to her console and do a tactical analysis of what information they have already.
Mm-hmm. But about the ship that you're picking up?
About them in about the Draterans, what information that the science team discussed about their military tactics or anything like that.
Sure. Okay. I don't think I'll need a roll for this really, because you know this is fairly relevant information. You're not going to need Googling skill isn't like a skill on this.
Computer.
So computer, find me everything I need and make me a coffee. It's essentially what you could do, really.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Just can't deliver the coffee to you.
Computer, make me a coffee and get an ensign to bring it to me.
Transport it.
This is what Murphy's going to be known for, is just opulent displays of wasting ship's resources.
No.
No. So yes, you're able to bring that up on your display. Essentially, although the Starfleet Science Expedition were unable to get a full historical timeline of the Drateran civilization, they were able to confirm that for the past several centuries, they have been more or less kind of united as a people under the leadership of their priesthood. As such, there hasn't really been a need for kind of a large organized military on the planet, as large-scale wars are basically kind of unheard of there. They do have weapons, however, up to, the computer says, an equivalent of 21st century technology levels. These are basically used by a small elite kind of peacekeeping force, I guess you could call them, to kind of keep the populace in line and deal with any deviance from the priesthood's teachings and laws, which are generally kind of dealt with pretty harshly.
Does it explain anything about like specific rules of law, or what things would maybe be classed as insulting, or would raise tensions between them? If like when they meet, Murphy's just trying to get an idea of what things that they can do to appear as neutral as possible when they're establishing communications.
It's obviously going to be a little different than the sort of covert operation, because the covert operation pretty much the same thing, where they're like, okay, we're not going to be seen here. That's going to be a little different than openly kind of interacting with them. But yeah, I think this is a bit of a tough question, really, because you're kind of asking like, what can we say not to not to insult them immediately.
What about the is it Who Watches the Watchers from season 3 of TNG? Is it that kind of situation? You know, that if we appear to be too powerful, they'll think we're gods and things like that sort of attitude.
Well, you've got no way of predicting that.
Kind of.
No.
Okay.
I mean, I get where you're coming from with that comparison. It's not like you're not completely off base. There's a bit of a difference in the tech levels, though. For one thing, I think in that episode, the sort of proto-Vulcans were kind of a bit kind of medieval, whereas the Draterans are much more advanced than that. You know, at the time of the expedition, they had an active space program and flight and such. Not as primitive a civilization,
no,
as that one.
So the tech is broadly analogous to our own.
Yeah, roughly kind of 21st century Earth sort of equivalent tech, but if Earth was like a complete theocracy.
Mm-hmm. Like the Spanish Inquisition in touch?
Yeah, yeah, kind of. Yeah, it's very sort of strict. I mean, there's the science expedition did say that there was some, not deviation, but there's different kind of sects and that. So
okay,
but they are all basically kind of one priesthood, really. But that, you know, different congregations will focus on different things.
Okay.
But mostly, yeah, a kind of unified sort of thing. The religion is very much a sort of guiding sort of thing in the lives. So probably you would think, don't say anything too insulting about their gods or anything like that.
Your god is a lie.
Yeah.
Only science is real.
What's up?
That's well.
Yeah. But yeah, as I said, there's not really any way you can know how they're going to react when they meet you, but based on the science team's observations, really, only to show a bit of, you know, they're not asking you to pretend that you believe the same thing, but don't get too rowdy. Yeah.
Basically, don't mock their belief system. Just stick to the facts of who you are, who we are as the Federation.
Yes, might be the way to go.
Try not to challenge their preconceptions of life as they know it, because that's what will cause the ruptions, most likely.
Yeah. Well, a lot of this is kind of standard procedure when it comes to first contact stuff, though, as well. Not unique to this particular sort of civilization. So the kind of standard operating procedure is to, you know, proceed with caution and be as friendly as you can and display that you're not going to be a threat, while still introducing, you know, sort of explaining who the Federation are and, you know, what you're doing there, basically. There are procedures to follow, essentially.
Yep.
So the basic conclusion that the computer and the previous science team spit out is they think, you know, proceed with caution, but basic first contact procedures should pretty much apply. But you got to take into account that the science team didn't think that this would be happening now. They thought it was going to be another maybe century down the line before the Draterans made the way into, you know, the wider kind of galactic community. So yeah, take that with a sort of consideration.
Is there still too much interference to get a tactical scan of the vessel?
You can do that if you like. Yeah. I don't believe anybody's gotten a scan of the vessel yet at all, other than to. I believe it was It's being tracked at going at about warp 1.1, so pretty slow, really. It hasn't left the system. Yeah, it's chugging. I mean, for a first warp flight, I mean, it's analogous to Earth's first warp flight, which we see in the movie First Contact. As you know, it's fast for us here in the real world.
Fast
but,
if you're in it.
Yeah.
But if you're watching it go past, it's not that fast.
No. I mean, the Tenzing comfortably cruises along most of the time at a warp 7 or so, but can go up to 9.9.
I'm literally thinking of when Zephyr Cochrane literally turns around and sees like the Enterprise gliding past. I literally just have that image.
Yeah, like you're not going to have at the speed that they're going. You're not going to have any trouble overhauling them. You can go essentially. It's a logarithmic scale as well. You can go orders of magnitude faster than they can.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, if you want to do a scan, we can do a scan. Let's do it. Okay, so if I could get a difficulty 1 reason science check from you, and there's your 1 success with that 11. If someone else could roll a single d20 for the ship system sensor science for me as well, aiming for 16 or under.
Okay, cool.
12. Oh, yeah, easily done. Okay. I like to split it out, so like if somebody's doing a check, we'll have someone else be like, this is the ship, sort of thing. So yes, that is. You got 1 success on your rolls, and then Eden rolled a 12 for the ship. So that gives us 2 successes on a difficulty 1. So you guys get a point of momentum. So I will write 1 momentum down. Okay. So yeah, you're able to sort of get a. I mean, the Tenzing is built for science and that, so you've got as established in the previous little story arc, you've got a pretty modern beefed up sensor array and everything on here, so getting a sort of good look at this ship even from the distance that you're at, which I believe we'd said if you wanted to, you could get to the ship from your current position in about 10 minutes, so it's pretty close really in terms of the ship's sensors. Really, you're able to see that it's quite a small vessel. Again, going in warp 1.1 steadily in a straight line away from the Dratiran world. I believe there was a question actually brought up in the sort of conference room meeting as to whether this was the Dratirans or whether it was someone else. You can't answer that with this scan, but as I say, you've got that point of origin and speed, and it seems to be a straight line away from that planet. No sort of weapons that the computer can determine or anything like that, but it just looks to be like a small warp capable vessel, maybe a little bit bigger than one of his small shuttles, about analogous in size to one of the larger runabout types that you crashed into a moon that one time.
We didn't crash it.
It crashed.
You are never going to let that go. You're never going to let that go, are you?
It's a convenient size point of reference. Yeah.
Anyone crashed it. It was the pilot.
Yes. I mean, he's currently flying this ship as well, so I mean, take that with a bit of... I don't know whether that's reassuring or not. So, yes. I mean, computer's not showing any weapons. It's about that size. It seems to have... it's cylindrical. You're not getting an up to, sort of complete technical scan of it from this distance. Just that it seems it's sort of small warp craft about that size is basically what you're getting. No weapons detected as far. No shields either.
I'm going to instruct the computer to run a continuous scan on it and update when it finds new information.
To just keep an eye on it, and as we get closer, keep resolving, essentially.
Yeah.
Okay, sure. Dr. Irila, did you stay on the bridge, or are you... Well, what do you want to be doing after this conference room meeting?
I rather think Irila will be going to sickbay. Mm-hmm. Just making sure that any supplies that they might need to deal with whatever weaponry this civilization uses.
Sure.
Whether it's... I think at this point they're probably assuming that it's going to be physical projectiles.
Yeah.
Bullets, etc. So just making sure that, everything's close to hand.
I think that's a safe assumption to make. I don't think that was really brought up in the meeting and that, but this civilization doesn't have any kind of phaser weaponry or anything like that. So yes, projectiles would be a good way of a good assumption, let's say. But okay, I guess I don't know if we need to make a check for this. I feel like this would be kind of like a sort of you'd know what to put together in terms of sort of like a triage pack or something. I mean, you have triage as one of your focuses anyway, and trauma surgery, I suppose it would kind of go under that as a little bit of sort of, and you've got field medicine as a talent, so I think you're kind of the perfect person to go like, okay, we might, if somebody's hit by a projectile, this is what we'll need. We need sort of, I guess, like pressure bandages and things like that. I'm not an expert on gunshots myself, but
I could Grey's Anatomy for it if you want.
Sure. We get to just ramp up the drama.
But to be fair, Ariela's really got it actually, because she's got the trauma surgeon, she's got the field medic, she's basically a MASH unit in one.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So this isn't tough for you. I mean, I suppose are you bringing your nurses in on this and sort of giving them a bit of a heads up of like, okay, we might just get some packs together or something? What's the thinking here? Again, not putting,
Again, being fairly prepared. Not massively concerned, because it shouldn't be, like, it won't be that big a deal to treat most of these if it happens, but just being cautious.
Yeah, doesn't hurt to be prepared.
Yeah.
Okay. We can say that. I mean, I feel like this isn't the longest amount of time here. We're kind of, the ship is sort of approaching now, so this wasn't going to be like, what are you doing for the next 5 hours? This was sort of like, what was your immediate thing to be doing? Yeah. So I think, it's a very short turbolift ride down from the bridge down to sick bay, and yes, you're able to quickly put together just a couple of little kind of like, okay, here's some of the things we might need for this. Okay. Ray, following the conference room meeting, what did you do? Did you head back onto the bridge as well?
Yeah, Ray. Well, that's where Ray will be, at the science station. Mm-hmm. I imagine that Ray would be checking the local area for any further traces of warp disturbance, to see if there's any more strange activity going on the approach to the planet.
Okay, so sort of looking to see if there was anybody else who might have been setting this off, or...
Yeah, anything else out there, or anything the sensors have missed that weren't picked up previously.
Sure, yeah. Okay, so can I get... this would be a reason science check from you. This will be difficulty 2. So 2d20. You're actually aiming for under 17 on that. And again, if somebody else could roll for the sensors... this would be sensors science. For the Tenzing, looking to get under 16 again.
Okay, there we go.
I got the other one.
Okay.
14 and a 9 from me.
Okay, so well, you got the 2 successes then, because you have your reason science is pretty ridiculous. 19, so very close to a catastrophic failure there by the ship. So, but that's just a regular failure. So you got your 2 successes there. Ship not really a big help here. Let's say narratively then, Murphy's you're both trying to use the same array a little bit. You're
fine.
You're fighting for bandwidth.
I got there first.
Yeah. I mean, you're not really. There's plenty of bandwidth, really, but you weren't able to get any extra help from the ship there, so no extra momentum on that part. But it seems pretty empty of ships, really. This whole sector, the whole system. I mean, the only sort of warp disturbances you can detect in the vicinity is this small craft heading away from the planet. Because warp signatures do tend to fade over fairly small periods of time. So
yeah, they don't hang around.
No, it's more like a sort of power sort of surge sort of thing, and energy kind of. It's never really defined, really, but I kind of like it's sort of a way to sort of hand wave it away. It's like an energy signature in blah blah, technobabble subspace.
How about a subspace energy marker left by the warp betrayal of that ship?
Yeah, something like that. That'll do. But either
You
way,
can snip that out if you want.
Nah,
Use
I'm
that for other bits.
either way, I would think over the course of a couple of hours it would fade away, really, and you're not detecting anything other than this ship here.
Right. Wonderful.
Good thinking, though. No, I mean, it's good to rule that out. I'm not. Yeah.
Yeah. Of course. Yeah.
Okay. Johnny, you're having a good time in the bar. What would you like to do?
Continue that good time until it feels like it's running thin, and then head back to the back to home, I guess.
Back to quarters.
Back to quarters with Bonge if he's done as well for the day.
Yeah. I mean, it feels like there's not really. The ship is still at warp. You've had no calls from any superiors saying please man any stations, or anything like that. So, from your point of view, the ship is still on course for Deep Space 3. You're having a wonderful evening, and Jovar he finishes the sort of drink he was having, non-alcoholic, I'm assuming, as he's a teenager. You don't want to be a bad influence,
no.
Unless you do. But
No.
Murphy frowning in the background.
Just in the background of Johnny's
Captain.
brain, like. Yeah. He sort of finishes his drink. So, this is. Thanks for showing me around. This has been quite a lot.
Well, hopefully you enjoyed it and learned a little bit. Maybe it'll tempt you to join Starfleet. I don't know what's on your mind. I mean, obviously there's been a lot of change recently for you, but hey, there's a lot out there.
Yeah, I've got a lot to learn. This is this is, like I said, this is all new. But I should probably get back to my mum and dad. What time is it? It's getting. I usually tell what time it is by the sun. How do you tell what time it is?
Around here, you can just ask the computer. So, computer, what time is it?
20:37.
There you have it. It is getting late, so yeah, we should get you back to your parents. And then, shall we, Bonge?
Sure, yeah. It's been fun. Good to meet you, kid. The three of you leave 10 forward, and you're able to. I mean, it's fairly quick to get pretty much anywhere on the ship. You're able to return him to the quarters, and the door's answered by his father, William.
There you boys are. You have a good time?
Oh yeah, Dad. We did a bit of everything. It was really good.
Yep, I gave him a full tour of the ship.
Full tour, huh? Well, that sounds like fun. Thanks for looking out for him.
My pleasure. Hopefully he'll get some ideas. I don't know.
Well, yeah, you never know. There's been a lot of changes already for us last few days. Sure, still getting our heads around it.
No doubt. But it's been my pleasure looking after your son. But it's getting on, so we'll leave you to it. And, yeah.
Have a good night, boys. See you later.
Good evening.
Doors close.
And, yeah, Bonge and Johnny will head off back to the quarters. With Johnny having the intent. I mean, I guess as they're going along, Johnny's just going to say, I'm going to relax and do a little meditation when we get back to the quarters. So I'll leave you to whatever you want to get up to.
Okay, well, I was just going to catch up on a bit of reading, and I'll keep it quiet.
Much appreciated.
The two of you return to your quarters on deck 9. Bonge sort of lies back on his bed and starts reading from a pad intently, and I guess you get settled in to meditate. Back on the bridge, then, the captain is sort of instructing the helmsman, you all know as Ensign Sauce. All right, Sauce, I want you to drop us out of warp directly in the path of that vessel. 1 AU of separation, at least. We want to give them plenty of time to see us. Yes, sir. Dropping out of warp now. The star lines visible on the main view screen tilt suddenly as SOS maneuvers the Tenzing around to the correct position before resolving into their individual points of light as the ship drops out of warp into the path of the Jatiran ship. I'll stop, Ensign. Aye, sir, all stopped. Murphy, your updating sensor sweep on the vessel is giving you much more detail now about the ship itself, now that you're much closer. It appears to be a mostly cylindrical vessel, which comes to a point at the front. It has a pair of small warp nacelles, one on each side of the cylinder itself. And as previously mentioned, the ship still isn't detecting any kind of weapons or shields or anything. A lot of early warp vessels from a variety of different cultures tend to sort of share a similar kind of design, as this configuration is one of the simpler designs that actually works. However, having grown up on Earth, you can't help but be struck by just how similar this particular vessel is to Zephram Cochrane's Phoenix design. It's a little eerie.
Okay.
As I say, these warp vehicles do have a sort of fairly, there's a lot of similar designs, but this one, I don't know, it just kind of strikes you as like, oh, this is familiar.
Can I pull it up on the view screen?
You can, yes. Unannounced, or what's the?
No, Captain, we've got enough of a sensor reading to give us an image. Would you like me to put it on screen?
Yes, let's see it.
And I put it on screen.
So yeah, you bring up the kind of visual of the oncoming ship on the main view screen, and again, you're kind of feeling that this is a similar design to the Phoenix. Is sort of reinforced now. You can sort of see it. Would you say Murphy's been to see the Phoenix in the Smithsonian?
Yeah, her father was an engineer, so she would have.
Yeah.
In like memory of him, she'd probably have gone and like tinkered with things.
Yeah, I mean, you would have gone and had a look at the very least and been like, oh, let's see how this all started. And
yeah.
So yeah, this is again, it's not identical. It's not, this isn't a one-to-one copy, but you can't help but get this vibe of like, this looks a lot like this. And again,
she would mention that. Then she would mention that to the captain. To be like, Captain, am I the only one who notices the similarity?
No, I see it too, Commander. That's
the Phoenix.
Yeah, you took the words out of my mouth, Commander Ray. Well, that's takes me back. Warp Dynamics 101 at the Academy. Curious.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Murphy's going to bring up the schematics for the Phoenix and try a probability of how much percentage it matches with the alien vessel.
Okay, I think we'll have another check for this because it's a cool thing to do, but I feel like I should have you roll for it.
Just like the probability of it, like how high a percentage.
Give me a reason engineering check. So you're aiming for 11 or under. This is going to be 2 6s. Oh, yeah, that's great. So you get another momentum from that. I was literally just about to say it's a difficulty 1 check. So you guys are up to 2 momentum now.
I think Murphy's onto something though, Captain. It does look way more similar to the Phoenix than it has any right to.
There is. I've seen the ship many times. It's eerily similar.
The result that the computer gives you is that the design of the oncoming ship is an 89% match for the schematics of the Phoenix that you've got on file. There's some minor structural and aesthetic differences, but the underlying construction is a very close match.
I'm going to relay that to the captain with like a really like, this is a bit weird. This is really surreal.
At this point, your sensors indicate that the ship has dropped out of warp.
So the alien vessel's now dropped out of warp.
It's at a distance of 600,000 kilometers. Pretty close in space terms. I'd imagine we've been spotted. Bring us in. 10 kilometer separation, Ensign. Aye, sir. Sos slowly brings the Tenzing in closer. You note the distance between the two ships dropping on your sensor display, Murphy. As he's making the final approach, Ensign Sadler on comms speaks up. Sir, I'm picking up some pretty frantic-sounding transmissions from their ship aimed back towards the planet. Put them on. What you hear is a fairly panicked-sounding voice. You can't determine male or female or anything like that. You just kind of catch the end of a sentence, sort of...
Control, we don't know what it is. It's come out of nowhere, right in front of us. It's got to be the Laldron. They've come to punish us. Engine will not restart. I think... Oh, save us. We're done for.
Murphy would like to run a systems check of the vessel. Is there any... is their life support system failing at all, or just to make sure that that their engine failure isn't going to have a knock-on effect?
Sure. I guess this would be I guess again another reason science again. Yes, with somebody doing the ship sensors, if we could.
I'll do that.
Okay. 17 and a 12. 19. Ship sensors not doing well. Another 19. You got your one success from that. You can't detect any failure in life support or anything. It just seems like basically when they dropped out of warp, part of the... It's not relighting, essentially. The engine is sort of burnt out, and you'd have to get an engineer to take a look at it. But the computer's first... It throws up some probabilities of, it might be this, it might be this, it might be this, it might be this. It's possible they've run out of dilithium. It's possible that there's something as sort of, this is a fairly primitive design. It was only designed to burn once. It could be any number of things, sort of thing.
Captain, sensors show that their engine has stopped working. Reasons unclear.
Can you put me on with them, Ensign Sadler? Looks like they only have audio capacity, sir. Adjusting to their frequencies now. Okay, you're on, sir. Captain takes a breath, sort of glancing around at all of you. You'd guess maybe he hasn't made first contact with a new species before, so this is maybe a big moment for him. Crew of the Dratiran warp vessel, this is Captain Harrison Collins of the Federation starship Tenzing. Are you receiving me? There's a long pause before the Dratirans respond.
We submit ourselves to judgment. We should not have left the sphere. Lord, please forgive us.
The captain sort of catches the Commander Talin's eye and sort of raises an eyebrow and says, we're not here to judge you. We detected the launch of your ship. It is our custom to reach out to those who are capable of building such vessels and announce ourselves, make contact. I can promise you, we do not have hostile intentions. It's another pause.
Lords, please forgive our trespasses. We see the sacred symbols upon your vessel. We serve none but the Laldron. Believe us.
Laldron? But they think we're their gods.
Murphy's got a hunch, and she's going to roll with it.
Okay.
She is going to search the database for any vessels containing those letters that have gone missing.
Okay, so like Laldron as a name on a vessel. Okay.
As a name, or like within a name of a vessel that may have gone missing. Because the way that he had said, we see the sacred letters on your ship, has me thinking that's interesting. The Murphy's picked that up. She's just like, I'm just going to roll with it.
Sure. Yeah, no, it's a good hunch. It takes a little bit of time going through. I mean, there's sort of been any number of lost ships over the centuries. Really, Starfleet tries to keep on top of anyone's that it knows about, but as you previously found out on, Jakir 2, the USS Tyr had been there for 28 years and was basically forgotten about. So, yeah, the computer doesn't come up with anything immediately with Laldron or anything like that. The science team did say, I mean, we kind of sort of glossed over it a little bit in the sort of briefing, but this is a well-known thing on there, and it's in there. Although the science team didn't have a full kind of unbroken timeline of their history, as far as they can tell, the Lodron has been a thing for quite a long time. Like, that is the basis of their whole religion sort of thing. This isn't sprung up in the last 100 years or so. This is their society's sort of thing. So it's possible this is just a local name for whatever they consider deities and not based on a thing. But you're not getting a ship name with Lodron in it in the missing register. I will say, as previously established, it's not a complete register, you know.
Yeah.
But nothing immediately comes back from your search.
A little bit disappointed, but she'll move on.
That's a good thought.
We'll try.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just the way that you'd said it, and I was like, what? Murphy's brain just went, what?
Captain, I'd like to put forward 2 suggestions. My previous host was present for a first contact many, many years ago. In a situation like this, there are 2 options, neither of them particularly easy to deal with in the long run, but we don't really have a choice, I think. The first option, if we offer them assistance, we could tractor beam their ship back to their planet, or we could bring their ship on board and reveal our true nature to them, and then return to the planet. Either way, we're going to be seen as these divine Lundren until we can explain ourselves properly.
Not a lot of going back at this point, Commander. We've already announced ourselves as a Federation starship.
It's merely the way we handle this now, sir. If we tractor their ship back, it's the quickest option, but people on the planet might observe this, and it might spread the idea that we are this divine power bringing a ship all the way home. If we beam them on board, we have a chance to kind of brief them first about who we really are, and then we go back to their planet and explain ourselves in a quieter setting without raising too much attention for ourselves.
Commander Tallinn kind of enters at this point. She says, I must concur with Lieutenant Commander Ray's assessment, Captain. At this point, our best option may be to bring them aboard and clear up any misunderstandings before returning them to their world.
I wouldn't mind getting a closer look at their ship while they're aboard.
Indeed, sir, that would be interesting to look over. 89% similarity. That's a large percentage.
He nods to you and then over to Ensign Sadler. Put me back on. Tritiran crew, we have much to discuss. Our sensors have detected that your engine is non-functional. We'd be happy to provide assistance as a good first step towards opening a dialogue between our peoples. With your permission, we'd like to bring your vessel on board ours to effect repairs. There's again a brief pause before the Tritirans respond.
As you will, Lord. We shall prepare ourselves.
Okay then, we will tractor your vessel into one of our shuttle bays. Collins out. He gestures to Ensign Sadler, who cuts the connection. See, this is going to be a tricky one. Let's put him in shuttle bay 2. Best to keep it low-key. Murphy, I want you there with 1 or 2 of your officers. Nothing too intimidating, but better safe than sorry. He looks to Commander Carter, who's been sort of lurking at the back of the bridge near to you, Murphy, since the conference room meeting. Carter, if you could put an engineering team together to take a look at their ship when we have a chance. Of course, I'll rustle up a team. Thank you. He taps his comm badge. Collins to Dr. Arila. I would be obliged if you could meet us in Shuttle Bay 2. We'll be having some visitors.
Understood, Captain.
Thank you, Doctor. See you shortly. Ray, you haven't been given any orders, so I'm assuming stay on the bridge.
You can be part of the team.
Yeah. Oh, you can come down if you want. Yeah. You're not leaving the ship, basically, so it's sort of...
Yeah. I've got nothing to do. I'll be on the greeting team, sure.
I'm going to tap my comm badge and Murphy to Conhart.
Johnny kind of rouses from his meditation and says, Aye, sir?
Report to Shuttle Bay 2. We have a first contact situation.
Aye, sir. And he excitedly gets to his feet and changes into his outfit. his Starfleet uniform, and heads down.
What was Johnny's casual outfit? Just for, just for curiosity's sake.
A lot of those Star Trek outfits. Like, I think it falls into the beige category somewhere.
1980s loungewear.
Was he 80s fashion or 80s myth?
Or was he like disco bones from the opening of the the motion picture?
Some characters were dressed well and other characters were really not.
I think in Johnny's downtime, he might wear something vaguely Bajoran.
Okay.
Like that he's brought some clothes from where he grew up. Like that he's got his clothes that he likes to wear.
Okay.
All right.
So yeah, he's changed out of that, and Starfleet time.
I forgot he grew up in Bajor.
At least in their space.
Yeah. Okay. So I just wondered when you were like, he puts his Starfleet uniform on, I was like, first I was like, is he meditating nude? What's going on here? But then, yeah.
We don't need to put that image in the listeners' heads, do we?
It's just that, and like Bond's turned against the wall, just slowly crying, like, why does he do this? Like,
well, would Bond even necessarily be repulsed or anything? Would he just be like, all right, so you're naked, fine?
No,
he'd say like, "See, you've only got one of those."
Well, he used to program the holo suites in his dad's casino. I think he's seen more than anyone should see.
Oh, dear. I love the fact you say
he wasn't naked. That's the bottom line.
Yeah,
fair enough.
I actually want to ask as well, Johnny. Like, as far as you knew, you guys were just en route to, Deep Space 3. You'd had a pleasant evening. As far as you knew, you were still at Warp, and all of a sudden, there's all this talk of a first contact situation. Well, what are you thinking?
He's just immediately excited. It's one of those kind of moments where it's like, yes, this is Starfleet. This is what it's all about. So immediately, like, from his sense of peaceful meditation, like that's kind of like the perfect thing to snap him out of it, almost.
Fair enough. I just wonder what you're kind of like, because it just seems like a bit of a kind of out of nowhere thing to suddenly, you're kind of en route somewhere, and as far as you knew, even like 20 minutes ago, there was no interruption in the trip, and now there's talk of a first contact situation in the shuttle bay. Yeah.
Oh, it's he's excited.
Yeah, no fair enough. Yeah, just wanted to get a look at your point of view there. That's all. Okay, so by lucky happenstance, everybody congregates at the shuttle bay at roughly the same time. It's not a big shuttle bay, like I said. It's not the it's bigger than a squash court, like I said, but it's kind of empty of any other shuttles at this point. So it's kind of a convenient sort of not too busy place that you can bring the Draterian ship on board and have it, pretty well sort of isolated if need be from the rest of the ship. Doctor, are you coming alone, or are you bringing any of your staff with you?
I'll probably bring one of the other doctors with me. Mm-hmm. Just in case we need to start triaging people.
Okay, well, most of the medical staff is actually currently still at Mavala's party on Holodeck 2, but the on-duty doctor is Dr. Molvon, who is a Benzite, and you're able to bring them along with you. There's actually a pretty decent-sized crowd at the shuttle bay right now. You've got Captain Collins, Ray, Murphy, and Carter coming straight down from the bridge. You got Connor arriving from his quarters on his own, Doctors Irila and Molvon from sick bay, and there's also a small 3-person team of engineers coming up to meet Carter. As you all congregate in the shuttle bay itself, the officer on duty raises the doors, and you can see the Draterian ship being guided in by the tractor beam.
Murphy was going to suggest that maybe the engineering team hangs back for now.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Just because we maybe don't want to overwhelm them with the amount of people and only have like the core captain, security, medical team.
Yeah, makes sense.
Just there.
Sure thing. Carter nods at your suggestion, and he and his team head on up to the upper level of the shuttle bay, kind of out of the way. There's a sort of observation kind of catwalk up there, and the bay's sort of little control room. Carter joining the operations officer who is in there working the tractor beam controls. And as you watch, the Jotiran ship is brought into the bay via tractor beam. It does take up most of the bay, to be honest. It's not the smallest of ships, as I said. It's about the size. Maybe now that you're closer, you get a bit of a better look. It's a little bit longer than a sort of regular runabout. But yeah, you're again immediately struck now that you're sort of up close. How much it looks like the original sort of Phoenix. Again, there's some design differences aesthetically, I should say, but in terms of the kind of same basic structure of it, it looks like it's a sort of cylinder that comes to a point at the front. There is some viewports along that front bit, which looks like to be where the cockpit is, and there are a pair of, again, different aesthetically slightly, but pretty much in the same position, warp nacelles on either side of it. It is brought into the bay and set down fairly lightly onto the deck plating by a tractor beam, and then the outer door begins to close behind it. As the warp ship comes to rest on the deck, the captain just briefly turns to all of you. All right, here we go. Friendly faces, everyone. He steps forward towards the craft, and as he does, a hatch on the side opens tentatively. Nervously, a pair of heads appear, peeking out of the hatch. But shortly, however, the craft's crew fully reveal themselves. Stepping down onto the shuttle bay deck plating are a pair of Jotirans. They're roughly 5 feet in height, and they're wearing sort of pretty nondescript kind of brown flight suits. They are, as expected from the briefing, they have grey skin. They have a pattern of red dots ringing their eyes, which you would remember are sort of secondary sensory organs that help them sort of see a little bit into the infrared spectrum. They both got white hair tied back into short ponytails away from their faces. Arila, you can immediately sense their concern and trepidation. You're feeling a quite heightened sort of sense of nervousness and fear from them, but no aggression.
That's good.
I'm not even going to need you to roll for this. This is because they're making no attempt to hide any of this. It's like, to an empath like you, this is coming off them like in waves kind of thing. They are fairly scared right now. The captain, smiling, steps forward. Welcome aboard the Tenzing. I'm Captain Collins. It's good to meet you. The pair briefly stare up at Collins in awe, before wordlessly dropping to their knees, bowing down before him and all of you in complete reverence and worship. Alright, that's going to do it for this episode. We'll be back in 2 weeks' time with the continuation of this story on Thursday the 3rd of February, and we hope you'll all join us for that. In the meantime, head to pretendingwithdice.com for links to all of our socials, our Discord server, Ko-Fi page, and more. We hope to see you all on there. So for now, that's our show. We hope you all enjoyed it. We'll see you next time.